How's it going, folks? I'm Ozzy from Alt Entertainment, and today we're going to be talking about the new anime fighting game, Jump Force. But before we get into the review, please remember that if you like this video to hit that thumbs up, as well as subscribe to our channel and press the little notification bell so that you don't miss our next video. Now, let's talk about Jump Force. Jump Force is a game unofficially advertised as Bandai Namco and Spike Chunsoft's Super Smash Bros. Of anime, and features characters from the various manga featured in Shonen Jump magazine in celebration of its 50-year anniversary. It includes characters from the likes of Dragon Ball Z, One Piece, Naruto, as well as more. I found myself particularly excited for this game as I recently enjoyed the two games of the same publisher, Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 and Dragon Ball FighterZ. And being the massive DBZ fan that I am always anticipating a game that features those characters that I love. So how does this one stack up? There have been a lot of negative reviews surrounding this game upon its release. So what we're going to find out is if this game is worth your time. Is it worth its $60 price tag, or is it even a good game? Let's dive in deeper and find out. Jump Force's narrative is rather simple. Essentially, the world is invaded by the Venoms, and they use mind control to take over the brains of some of these beloved characters. As your own custom-made avatar, you must join the Jump Force, an Avengers-like team that features many of these characters, and fight against those who are mind controlled in order to free them and stop the Venoms. And that's pretty much it. The overall story in this main campaign is painfully weak. Seeing some of these beloved characters interact with one another, which was a main selling point in the game, is a real disappointment and leads me into the biggest flaw of the game's story mode, which is the cutscenes. And I'm going to be brutally honest here, these cutscenes are awful. Characters lack any sort of emotion when they are talking, and have the same blank stares on their face no matter what is coming out of their mouth. Their bodies typically have no movement whatsoever and just stay in one place. This greatly devalues the story the game is trying to tell because the cutscenes are just not engaging at all. On top of that, the missions themselves are repetitive. Fight so-and-so who is mind controlled and beat them, and then they'll join the Jump Force. Then every once in a while you fight a boss character. There just wasn't enough variety here. Listen, I'm well aware that stories in fighting games historically haven't been great. I even hated the story in Dragon Ball FighterZ for many of these same reasons. But more recently, we have seen that good narratives can be told in fighting games. Prime examples being NetherRealm's Mortal Kombat and the Injustice games. So these things can be done. All in all, this story feels tacked on, and I don't feel like Spike put enough effort into it. The voice acting and the music is decent. It's really important for everyone to know that there's no English dub in this game, unlike what we've seen with other Bandai Namco releases. I somewhat struggle to call this a flaw in the game, because the Japanese voices don't bother me at all. Well, other than Goku's prepubescent boy's voice. But I think a lot of casual players will be immediately turned off by this. Don't get me wrong, I understand why they didn't put in the English dub. It would have been very expensive to do, but at the same time, this is a $60 game, and when you pay that kind of price for this game, you deserve to play the game in any way you see fit. Graphically, this game is pretty inconsistent. Unlike some other people, I don't really have an issue with the 3D character renderings of these typically two-dimensional characters, but if you do, I totally understand why. There are times that this game can be flat out gorgeous with its graphics and animations. This is most evident in the attack animations. Some of these are jaw-dropping with how good they look. However, there is a caveat to all of this, and that's the frame rate. Playing the PS4 version, I experienced frame rate dropping a lot, and with the bright and colorful graphics and animations, when the frame rate does drop, it's super noticeable, and it's honestly enough to give you a headache. So because of these things, I can't really give this game an A+ mark for graphics. All these issues that we've covered so far, in the grand scheme of fighting games, are relatively small issues. Hey, if the gameplay and the fighting itself is good, then that can mask a lot of other problems with the game, because at the end of the day, the most important aspect of a fighting game is, well, the fighting. Here is where you can really see that Spike spent the majority of their development time. The fighting in this game is pretty solid and can be really fun at times. Jump Force is a light fighter, meaning the combos are relatively simple and don't take a ton of memorization like other fighters out there. Each character you choose to fight with on your team of 1 to 3 feel unique. Each having their own array of attacks and animations adds to the personality of these characters that other aspects of the game severely lacked on. It can be a lot of fun going through and using all the different characters to see how each of them play and what type of movesets they feature. Your avatar is capable of learning many of these attacks through purchasing from the item shops in the game's hub world, but more on that later. For the first few hours of playing this game, I found myself having a lot of fun playing with these characters and just fighting. The fight mechanics of the game are really easy to learn and not overly difficult to get pretty good at. However, after a while you begin to learn how the fights generally function, and this is mostly due to terribly predictable AI. And after that, the overall joy of fighting in this game drops. Where the game really shines, and if there's one thing that I think Jump Force can hang its hat on, is its online matches. Now these aren't perfect, mainly there being an issue where you cannot rematch an opponent, but a lot of these things will be supposedly fixed in future patches. In these online matches I had a lot of fun, and I surprisingly didn't encounter many issues at all in terms of connection. And if I could offer one major selling point on this game, it's this mode. So the fighting is good, but what about the other aspects of gameplay? Well, the most notorious issue for Jump Force is its loading times. The game's loading times are honestly unacceptable for a game in 2019. We have seen much bigger games such as Red Dead Redemption 2 and God of War take much less time to load and feature less loading screens in general. This is kind of another reason why I feel this game may have been too big for the engine that they used. Beyond that, the avatar customization in this game is really weak. Distinct features of customization such as body type, nose, eyebrows, etc. all look very much the same. The only real way to make your character stand out is by the hair and the hair color as well as facial markings that you can add. I am always a big fan of character customization, but I have to say many other games have done it so much better. And the only way you can really set your character apart is by purchasing various outfits and accessories from the shops in the hub world. These items consist solely of items worn by other characters in the Shonen Jump universe. And while there are a ton of items to purchase and equip to your character, I really would have liked to have seen more original items thrown in there. Some people don't care to equip to other characters' items and just want to be purely original. So let's talk about that hub world, shall we? This hub world is really bland and lacks any of the charm that games like Xenoverse 2 and Fighters had with their hub worlds. I found traversing this hub world to be very boring, and the NPCs scattered around lacked any sort of variety or personality. So after all this, I can honestly say that I found this game extremely disappointing. Most aspects of this game, they completely fucked up. The game feels extremely rushed and completely unfinished. Had they taken more time and released this game maybe even later on this year, with more polish and more content, this could have been an extremely enjoyable game. But the few times that this game gets it right, it really gets it right. So for that reason, I can't say that this is a bad game and that you shouldn't waste your time on it. However, I can definitely say that this game is not worth the $60 price tag, and I will give my final score of 52 out of 100. This is not an awful game. It's not broken. It's not unplayable. It's just really disappointing and could have been so much more. So I want to know what you thought about this game, so leave your thoughts in the comments section. Thank you guys for watching. We appreciate all the love and support, and stay tuned for our next video. And until next time, game on.